Hey there guys, and welcome back to my channel. I must say it's been such a warm return back into the community. The last video really did exceed my expectations, and for that I have to thank you all for your wonderful support. And honestly guys, you truly have gone above and beyond. With all the likes and comments, you've truly managed to put a spring back in my step, if you will. So to say thank you, here's some absolute nonsense that I'll struggle to articulate the sheer difficulty of some of the feats you'll see achieved today. And with all that said, together with the help of the boys over at Limited CC, we've conceptualized perfection, and now I bring to you the reality of just that. Getting right underway with the episode, I'd like to delve a little bit deeper into some of the methods I ended up developing for certain pieces of content and why I went about them the way I did. This will hopefully give you guys a wee bit of a wider understanding of the actual thought process that has to go into these methods that barely anyone would even need to think of in the first place. I want this episode to be somewhat of an informative piece of content as well as entertaining, so if you enjoy this type of video, please let me know in the comments section below. Now, seeing that the Mogas were considered one of the lengthiest grinds, I thought I'd replicate my routing through an alternate account to break down exactly how I tackled this monstrous challenge. The Moga has a combat level of 60, with a max hit of 8 and can attack every 6 game ticks, which means we can eat twice between each and every hit. To preset our inventory, we're going to have to death spawn all of our miscellaneous items to make room for 21 slots to maximise a chance to kill the NPC using recoils. And thanks to the recent gravestone updates and the changes to items dropped on death, we can actually clear our entire inventory, leaving all of our untradables on the ground. This leads us to our next encounter, transportation, the type of food that we'll need per kill. Fortunately for us, directly north from the monastery we have 2 food stalls that sell 3 cake each per world, and by using chocolate bars or dust on the cake, which can also be purchased at the same stalls, you'll create the chocolate cake under the provision that you're 50 cooking. This will end up resulting in a 15 heal per inventory slot, which really does come in handy in the bigger scheme of things. As you can see up above, our routing is quite fortunate, as directly south of the market we can travel with Captain Barnaby directly to Remington Port, to then make our way to Mudskipper Point. Now for the tricky part. I'll try and break it down piece by piece with the intentions of making it understandable for everyone. Spawn manipulation is a term cultivated by the limited community, which is when you aggress towards an NPC and then quickly cue your action behind any type of interface. By using an NPC indicator provided by Runelight, you'll know exactly when the NPC is going to respawn. And because said monster has the same identification as the one you've aggressed to, when you release your interface you'll attack the NPC. During a spawn manipulation as seen above, you have a 0.6 second or otherwise known as a 1 tick window in order to release your interface to aggress the NPC upon respawn. If done correctly, this will grant 0 XP no matter the damage dealt. Now, spawn manipulation with a cannon follows a similar premise, although you aren't technically aggressed to any NPC, so we'll follow the same set of rules with one little difference. And that would be that the cannon must face directly towards, or in some circumstances like this, one rotation behind the NPC described below. What I mean by this is that you must click your stall one cycle behind your intended target, as when you throw your fishing explosive it'll cause a 1 tick clearance between the release of your interface and the animation stall, rotating the cannon one cycle. If done correctly, the cannon will spin into position, firing at the NPC as soon as the animation stall is over, leaving very little room for error. As you can see, I've been hitting a lot of zeros, and that's due to the lack of range bonus we have access to on a UIM skiller. On screen above you'll see the optimal equipment setup that we'll be working with. This obviously changes with the type of account that you're playing on, but for the most part it'll usually take quite a while to get any initial damage. I just got? Surprisingly enough, in the one single kill that I did to gather a clip to showcase with, we actually managed to get a long bone, a 1 in 400 drop potential. And finally, as seen in the clip above, I utilised Vengeance to increase the speed of the kill. This cannot be done on an Ironman, however it takes us back to the amount of food you'll need per kill. Mostly all of these slots will be depleted every kill, and you'll have to restock your inventory every single time, making this much more of a grind than you'd first expect. Now as you can see, this is a result of the journey towards flippers. 65 kills done at the rate of 2 per hour, resulting in over 30 hours of making such a simple task just so grueling. You may also be wondering, where are all the kills? And the answer to that is there is none. Reason being that the recorded clips were simply just too long to the point where they corrupted, hence why I had to take a showcase clip just before I was about to start editing this video. Fortunately, I'd found a picture that I had sent to one of the lads, so it's not all lost. In the end, this took over 4 inventories of recoils, an unimaginable amount of patience and account management, juggling the inventory for most of the time I had in the day. Now that one of the more lengthy grinds is out of the way, I can put my focus towards polishing off the remainder of quests with the intentions of working on exceeding the quest point limit for the 0 XP skiller. To kick things off, we'll start by gathering the supplies needed for Tears of Guthix, which really does seem to tie in the element of what it means to be an Ironman. I literally had to look up how to make a bullseye lantern, and I can safely say that most of us would have never even known that lamp oil existed in the game. Moving on to the Lost Tribe, which is a quest I didn't even realise I hadn't done already, as it does actually come in handy for quicker transport through the swamp. Up next we have the Tower of Life, which in turn grants us a special little item we'll be able to spawn manipulate for. And if you're interested in seeing that, I suggest you go ahead and follow my Twitter at OSRS, which will be up on screen and linked in the description. Over here you'll get an array of interesting achievements, discoveries, and much more. Hand in the Sand is one of the final few quests we have to tackle before we get into the heavily risky and intricate achievements, and we'll have to gather the required items in a bit of an unorthodox way. The reason why I left this one so late is because of the hassle it takes to death spawn for the entire quest, as we'll have to head into the wilderness to pick up some whiteberries and also travel to Entrana to collect the wizard's head. I'd also like to say a big thank you to the lads over at Limited CC for the assistance through the Lava Dragon Isle. Now this is where we start to ramp up the pressure. We're now in the realm of make it or break it territory. We have so few recoils left that we cannot afford failure. If we end up dying or don't calculate the supplies well enough, it will be all for nothing. Hundreds and hundreds of hours working on clue scrolls for the right amount of purple sweets needed to complete 2 of the most volatile quests. And this is exactly how we prepared for the quest Getting Ahead. One of the roadblocks we run into here is that the boss fight is instanced, and as an Ultimate Ironman, if you die, you lose everything. So we're going to have to death spawn, and death spawn a lot. After the original death spawn, we'll pick up the noted Guthix restores and unnote the amount we'll need at the bank. We'll then lure one of the jail guards, corner trap one around the fence, and death spawn our unwanted items. As you can see, this will be our final inventory, 102 purple sweets, 3 recoils, and the rest Guthix restores. All of our items have been death spawned, and we have 29 minutes remaining on the clock to get all of this done. With the strange beast now defeated, we can polish off another one of the seemingly impossible quests off the bucket list. And though we're over one hurdle, we have one final leap of faith to follow. Now, before we get underway with our biggest challenge yet, we've got to quickly knock out the Forsaken Tower alongside the rest of the Loverkench favour in order to finish off the Architectural Alliance. To kick things off, we'll need an alternate account to lure one of the spiders over to formulate a pseudo body block. Now that we're all set up, I'll stand under the alt while maintaining the lack of transparency from the NPCs, resulting in immunity at all angles. If you want to learn anything more on the logistics of sulfur mining, make sure to refer to the previous episode in the series for a full breakdown into the method. Following the 65% favour, we can finally tackle the Forsaken Tower. Following the completion of the quest, we're rewarded with a 10% certificate in the Loverkench house, bouncing us up to 75% favour, the exact requirement we'll need to formulate the minecart transport. Now finally, as you can see, all the favour, the quests, achievements, they're all complete. Every last thing you could think of, they've all been overcome in one way or another. And now all but one remains, one that even challenges regular accounts. Shadow of the Storm is our final plateau, and this is exactly how I managed to bridge the gap. As you all know, this account is in fact an Ultimate Ironman. We don't have access to the Grand Exchange, so the only way we can receive purple sweets is through clue scrolls. Now, the crux to all this is that we don't have any combat stats, so we're realistically dropping over 40 to 50% of all the clue scrolls we receive. With that said, we've amassed over 400 hours dedicated to gathering over 250 purple sweets for one single crazy attempt to reach perfection. To kick things off, we'll recite the reverse incantation to spawn Agrithnar so that when we return he'll respawn in the middle of the cave, giving us enough clearance to receive one projectile attack. I'll then grab some money, graceful, and supplies I'll need to make Guthix Restores. I've also gone ahead and made a full set of iron to increase the likelihood to receive damage from the demon's projectile mage attacks. And as you can see from the recording above, we've turned on low detail mode to decrease the chance of any type of frame drop, as if we miss even a single tick we stand to lose over 400 hours of progress. Now comes the tricky part. Seeing I've put so much effort into getting up to this particular stage, I need to give myself the best fighting chance possible. And to do so, I'll be splitting up multiple death spawns throughout the route to give myself as much time and food as possible. Our inventory has been calculated to the finest denomination of damage, and our death spawns are all preset. This is like nothing you've seen before. We have one shot, and we have one goal. And without further ado, let's get this done. As you can see in the chat box below, we really pushed this to its extremes. We ended up using nearly all of our consumable supplies and calculated the predicted damage to absolute perfection. And with that said, I'm extremely happy with this result. The added pressure from the extra 400 hours in preparation at stake really adds a massive element to this achievement. And I truly do hope that you guys can take pleasure in both the execution and the editing. I put a lot of effort into this series in both time and post-production, and I am pleased to say this will not be the final episode. Over the past few weeks, my team and I over at Limited CC have been well at work on finding game-breaking discoveries that directly impact both the account and the series. And if you guys want a deeper look into that, I urge you to go and follow my Twitter at OSRS, where you'll find a boundless amount of tidbits and sneak peeks you will not see on this channel. And the link to that will be in the description. And I'm glad to say to you all that we're back, and we have more planned than ever before. So if you want to get involved in our future projects, drop my channel a subscription to be a key part in the development of this channel. And finally, for all of you who have made it this far, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a lovely day.